Hello everyone, today I'll be doing a solo Grandmaster run with the cheese with Hunter. For my subclass, I'll be using the Stasis Hunter. Here are the mods I'll be using. For kinetic, I'll be using False Promises with the exotic Monarch. And for the heavy, I'll be using the Tarantula with Box Breathing. For the helmet, I'll be using Seeking Wells, Linear Fusion Ammo Finder with 10 Intellect. With the gauntlets, I'll be using the Supreme Wellmaker Overload Bow and Tiberia Auto Rifle with 10 Recovery. Next, I'll be using the Well Pro Tensi Double Arc Resistance with 5 Intellect. Next, I'll be using the Exotic Stompies with Linear Fusion Rifle, Scavenger, and 10 Intellect. Next, I'll be using Elemental Shards, the Kickstart, and the Siphon Artifact mod. So I decided to go for the Stasis Hunter for this week with the similar loadout from Warlock with the False Promises, Monarch, and a different heavy of the Tarantula with Box Breathing because I got fed up using Threaded Needle. Now, just to let everyone know, the quickest way to do the GM solo is Nightstalker. If you are fed up being Nightstalker and you don't feel like doing the no cheese method, then you can go for Stasis Hunter, but it does require patience. Now I will be doing time skips dealing with the champions, barrier champions, and of course a boss fight where I had to wait for my super when dealing DPS at the cheese spot. So as you guys know that there are arc pulses which you need to capture, and you saw that I had to defeat these Fallens and the vehicles because they can two-shot me. Well, the vehicles with the pike where these Fallens are driving, they can melt you if you just stand still, which is why I hide and just try to get rid of them. Of course, because we're not Warlock, we can't really spam our turret to detect these fallen ads. So you will have to use the Monarch to do sniping and DPS, and of course I cannot see because for some reason it's dark and it's all blue and it's blending the fallen ads, and it's really hard for me to see. Even though I put brightness up, etc., I still can't see them well. So yeah, sometimes when you do enter the Nightfall, it gets all dark and blue, and then it gets all sunny. It's very, very awkward when it's dark because it's really hard to see them. Now I decided to go back because I totally forgot that I have to deal with this very annoying little drag that is on the pike. So I was trying to manipulate with the box breathing. And of course you can just hold aim and then have the box breathing to activate, which later on I will be doing that. You can do DPS at long range with the Monarch and take your sweet time. So yeah, this is GM. You can take your sweet time because there's really no limit. There's no time limit unless getting for the 100k there is a time limit, but if you don't really care about getting 100k, you just want platinum rewards, then you can take as much time as you want. Where in Prestige Nightfalls, if everyone remembers that, there was a time limit and you would definitely have to beat it much faster, or you go back to orbit, which they took that out unfortunately. you know, the Nightfall has changed. And also another reason why I'm doing this is because I was just doing some experimenting as usual. I wanted to do a cheese method with Hunter for this week. Since I know there are players who are fed up of using Nightstalker for GMs. Now I decided to go for the Elemental Well build. As you guys know, I'm just messing around with the mods since I didn't really have time to mess around with Nightfalls at all for this season. Now we are collecting the arc pulses, the last second wave. I am trying to deal with this arc vehicle, and since we are not a Warlock and since we're not a Titan, we can't use barricade or anything. I have to like shoot and back away when using the bow. So the Vandal is sniped, and I can finally collect the arc pulses. Now, I am using Stompies just to get to the cheese spot. I mean, I have not tested out of jumping to the cheese spot without Stompies, but honestly, I'm not going to test that out because I have a feeling that it's not gonna work. And I would prefer to use Stompies, even though I want to use War Tracer or the exotic legs to get more orbs and, you know, to get my super more faster. But mainly we want to get to the cheese spot for the Hunter. So definitely I decided to just use Stompies. I mean, it isn't so bad. I mean, Stompies is actually great for GMs. I'm not gonna lie about that. It's okay, it's not bad. I mean, the best thing about using Stompies for GM is you can get away from ads chasing you, or when they're shooting you, you can run away really, really fast. And it isn't so bad. Like, seriously, Stompies isn't really as bad as people would criticize and say using Stompies for GM is the worst idea ever. It's not so bad, not really. You know, I did take advantage of Stompies at the arc plate room, you know, just double jumping and checking their ads. So you saw there, we're going to be spamming the super for the Hunter Tornado, and as you guys know, sometimes the Tornado does its job for you and sometimes it just doesn't feel like it. So I'm going to be doing a mini timescale dealing with this Overlord champion since you can easily take it down. Alright, so once we defeat this Overlord champion, which you can just use the Tarantula and the Lemonarch. You can now deal with the ads from the back. Since we don't have a barricade for Titan, and I already used my super, and I don't have Healing Rift for Warlock, and I can't throw my turret or do anything, and I don't have Protective Light. Gotta be cautious because since we're not having the Protective Light build, we're mainly focusing on trying to get our super as much as we can. Then I have to be super careful dealing with these fallen ads where they can two-shot me or melt me if I'm not being careful. And you guys know how recovery is for Hunter and the Resistance. For the Hunter, it's very, very poor, I'll be honest. Not using Nightstalker with the heart in the pack can be a big issue when doing GM. And even though I have higher tier recovery, you still have to be careful, especially when using, especially being on Hunter. For some reason, if you do get sniped for Hunter, Hunters take more damage compared to Titan and Warlock. It is so weird. I never knew why it happened. Unless I have higher in the pack, then I can be tanky. It's just the weirdest thing for Hunter, and sometimes in those moments I just don't want to be Hunter. For GM, unless I'm a Nightstalker, then I'm okay with it, but as you guys know, I am fed up of being Nightstalker Hunter. And sadly, I will have to be Nightstalker Hunter for next reset, which I'm not looking forward to it. So as you guys know, there is an Overload champion which you can use Lemonarch, power of Lemonarch, where it can just stand still. And of course, when you defeat Fallens, they will leave a mini slow bomb or grenade or trap or mine, which you can destroy with your auto rifle or bow. So there are a lot of ads, and I don't have my super yet. And also I want to talk about the elemental mods a little bit. So I was using this mod for stasis where elemental shards, you can collect them, right? When you do collect the shard, you get a cooldown. You know, mainly I'm trying to get my super. So you have to pick up these elemental shards one at a time, and that is very annoying to do, but unfortunately I guess it would be too powerful if you collect all of them less than a second. So I guess I'm okay with it, but it is at the same time a bummer. I am collecting these elemental wells so I can get some of my super back, since I can't use the exotic boots because I need stompies to get to the G spot. Now there are 2 overload champions. It can be a bit tricky because since I can't use my super for Warlock, and it's gonna be a problem. This is what happens when you don't use your supers. Fallen ads will throw nades, spam nades, and 2 overload champions will shoot you. Now, I remember sometimes these fallen overloads can teleport in front of you and shoot you, so they seem to be a little fixed, where they're not teleporting in front of you. Either that, or because I'm not pushing towards the arc plate room, they're not being aggressive with me. I decided to use a tornado, and unfortunately my tornado just decided to do some DPS with the overload champion, which I did not want it to do. You know, things happen. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I don't like Stasis Hunter, because the tornado has a mind of its own. Like, why can I control the tornado to make it move towards the ads or something? I wish the tornado could last a little longer, or something for me to control the tornado so it can clear the ads and not the overload champions. Or if I wanted to clear down the champion, let's just say barrier champion, then I can make a focus on that. So yeah, I have like a like and dislike of using the stasis super for Hunter. I'm gonna be dealing with this overload champion from this angle, so I'm gonna do a mini time skip for this. Alright, so after bowing like 15 times, I can get rid of this Overload Captain. Isn't it fun? Now there are a couple of fallen ads where they are throwing nades, so I'm trying to make sure I clear them down so I can actually capture the arc plate room. And of course there is another Overload champion, which honestly this could be very annoying to do. So once you do clear down all the ads, you could move from the right side, but I had a feeling I didn't clear all the ads. That was just my senses, I guess. So I decided to just take down the Overload champion from this angle. So I'm gonna do a mini time skip. Alright, so once I bow away and, you know, spend like 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes of my life, I finally defeated the Overload champion, well, the last one for now. And there are elemental wells which I want to collect because they are so shiny, I just want to collect them all. Now we can capture the arc, well, the plate. And of course my minion, my bunny, is upside down. You know what? I don't blame this ghost. You know, doing GMs on Stasis Hunter and overall just going slow. I rather do a Master Nightfall over GM. So I don't blame that the ghost is going upside down. It is just exhausted. It's tired. So I use my super to deal with the electrical shanks. Of course, you guys know this. Never trust Overload champion. So you must take down the Overload champion and it will walk towards you, as you can see here. So make sure you deal with the Overload champion when you do see the Overload champion going downstairs and trying to shoot you with a solar attack. And of course sometimes it moves around, but keep bowing away, or if you don't really want to just use bows and switch to your heavy and then bow, you can do a combo DPS if you want to defeat the Overload champion fast. So as you can see here, I defeated the Overload champion collecting some elemental mods, even though it's not. I should have put the font of wisdom instead of the 5+ energy mod. Still messing around with the elemental mods or wells. Still gonna be doing some more testing off screen. So then there were shards and I was trying to collect them and then waiting for my cooldown. So you can see how this mod can be extremely dull. Yep, don't mind me guys, just collecting elemental shards so I can get my super back. Elemental wells, they're okay. I'm still trying to get used to them. You know, I still need to do more experiment. And of course my ghost is upside down. It is just tired. I don't blame it. We waited for another 10%. Overload champion appears and I have to back away because I don't trust Overload champions in this Nightfall. As you know, it likes to push towards you. It likes to shoot solar. And because we have no protective light, we have no healing rift, we have no turret, we have no barricade to protect myself. You guys know the resistance and recovery for Hunter is poor unless you are, you know, using Heart Attack. And if you are using 9 tier recovery for Hunter, then it's alright, but still. I defeated the Overload champion, woo for that, and decided to use my super. I'm using my super and of course I want to collect these shards, but then there are a couple ads, just making sure, and I'm just slowly collecting these shards. Like, isn't this amazing build? You know, I try to go creative, but then I get punished, which we'll be talking about very soon. There are invisible fallens where they can try to melee you. And another thing I'd like to mention is if you don't collect these shards, right, they will disappear, which makes me sad. I wish they didn't do that. but I guess they didn't want to make the elemental wells powerful. That's the only explanation I can think of. But I do wish it could last a little bit longer for PvE, but it's okay, you know, they must have their reasons. So now I'm going to be capturing the plate, and then I had to back away because there are electrical overcharge shanks that will be at the plate room, and of course the ghost is complaining. It won't get destroyed. Now, this will be very interesting. They could make this Nightfall more tough, which I hope they don't do. This is just a fun idea, where if ads are in on top of the ghost, you'll have a time limit to clear down the ads, right? And then if you don't, then your ghost dies and then you'd start all over again. And now thinking about it, I think that would be a horrible idea. So now I'll be capturing the next progress of defending the ghost. Even though the ghost can take care of itself, it won't get destroyed, we won't go back to orbit. And now to deal with barrier champions. Now just to let everyone know that when you do defeat any of the champions, left or right, you will make around 3 overload champions to spawn. So always be aware when defeating the barrier champion, any of them. You must back away quickly because 3 overload champions will push towards you, and it's not going to be fun because you will have to do DPS on the champions. You need to be in the safest spot as possible. So I decided to use my super again. And this time the tornado stasis was cooperating, which I was very, very happy. You know, it's actually lasting longer. Like, I was super happy, like, seriously. Sometimes the tornado doesn't last that long. It just lasts a couple of seconds and then disappears. Like I said, a tornado has a mind of its own. It likes to cooperate, and then sometimes it's like, nah, I don't feel like it. And then it disappears. Alright, so this is probably the most annoying part throughout this entire Nightfall, where you have to deal with around 3 overload champions at the same time. Be super careful because we have no protective light. We have no heart of the pack. We're not Nightstalker. And definitely have to be very, very cautious. If the overload champion is backing away, don't push towards it. Just start all over again. So in this video, the overload champion backed away, the one who was on low health. I was trying to defeat it as fast as I can. I should have used my tarantula to defeat it, but then it backed away. And like I said, it's not worth pushing towards the weaker overload champion. Since there are 3 of them, they can melt you. They can 2-shot you, done, back to orbit. And we have no protective lights, so it makes it much worse. It's not worth it. So if the overload champion is backing away, don't push it unless it is by itself. Then you can push towards overload champion. And as you can see there, 1 shot already put me on red health. And remember, I have 9 tier recovery on Hunter. My resistance isn't the best. I mainly focus on recovery for Hunter. And you can see that even with high tier recovery and my resistance is not the best, still my Hunter can get 2-shot, and it's very dangerous to deal with these overload champions, especially when you are not Nightstalker. And of course, I'm just bowing away, bowing away. It's so fun. Seriously, I feel like I'm in a Taiku moment where Lemonarch is just being very awkward right now. Eventually, I will deal with this Overload Champion. I decided not to do a time skip for this, 'cause I just want to show you how annoying it is to deal with Overload Champions, even using Lemonarch. Especially with 3 champions. Now this is 3. You know, if it's 2, it's okay. But if it's 3 Overload champions in the same room all together, then it could be a big problem. Even using Taiku, it would be very tough to deal with these Overload champions. Now we finally defeat 1 Overload champion, and now we're gonna make life easier because now there's only 2 more and it's not gonna be so aggressive compared to 3. Now Lemonarch seems to handle 2 champions, but if it's 3, then it could be a little trouble. And that's what I noticed when I was doing this run for the hunter. So as you can see that finally Lemonarch is doing its work, its DPS, so you could just bow, you don't even need to use heavy. You can see proof that Lemonarch is better than Taiku for this Nightfall. For a GM, of course for Master, Taiku is good for the Master version. As you guys know, definitely be very cautious, especially when using the super. Now what I'm going to be working on is collecting some of these shards and then backing away because it has a cooldown, unfortunately. The shards do have a limit, by the way, but I decided not to collect them. So I'm gonna do many time skips since I'm basically just going to be destroying the servitor. I defeated the barrier champion and now we can actually capture the plate. This is amazing. I'm having so much fun doing this on GM, even though I could play master version and make this run more faster. This is exciting. Alright, I'm just messing around. Alright, still my ghost is upside down. Seriously, ghosts, are you really despising this Exodus Crash Grandmaster? Alright, I'm gonna back away because it says a champion has appeared. I mean, we all know how that's gonna go. Overload champion, and it means get the hell out of there. Do DPS at the Overload champion. So I'm gonna try to bait it. For some reason, this Overload champion is not pushing, so I was a bit sad, you know, because I really want to get rid of this Overload champion, but it just was not being aggressive with me. You can see I'm just manipulating the power of Stompies, and I was trying to see where the Overload champion is. I don't see him, and it looks like he's hiding from the far right side. Usually they hide from the far right side if you don't see them at front. Like right now, I don't see the Overload champion, and I don't trust this Overload champion. That's why I'm keeping myself distance. And I'm trying to use the Seeker grenade, and it's like, no, Blitz, I don't see anything. Like, no, I sense something, grenade. I am sensing an Overload champion from the right side. So I was trying to figure out how am I going to deal with this Overload champion when there are vandals in the way. So you can see a lot of vandals, not looking good. I have to use my super to clear it down. I'm gonna wait for the tornado to do all the dirty work. Like, come on, tornado, do something. Please show the viewers that stasis hunter super is amazing for PvE. And it didn't really do so much. Well, thank you, Stasis Tornado. You really showed everyone how powerful you are. Like, seriously. Seriously, like, what the heck? Even the stasis titan can do more, can clear ads better. Seriously, like what's going on with the tornado? Even the stasis titan can clear ads way more than the tornado right now. So like I said, a tornado has a mind of its own. I wish we had the ability to control the tornado and make it last longer, or maybe sacrifice heavy to make the tornado last longer, or have the tornado be powerful, like something. Sacrifice special ammo, anything to make this tornado more efficient and more deadly. Anyway, that's my opinion. Like I said, I play all 3 characters, and I just... the Hunter Tornado is good, but I just wish I can control it. I don't know, do something, you know, customize the tornado or something. I was just trying to be cautious here because I sense an Overload champion. I was trying to figure out, how am I gonna do this? Can I go all the way from the left side? So I was debating. And then I sensed the Overload. You see that one little bullet, almost half of my health. So I was being really careful with this Overload champion. And I was trying to see, like, how can I deal with this Overload champion if it's behind this wall. And then I was like, I can't get him because he's behind this wall and it's the most awkward spot ever. So I was like, maybe if I go over here and do the same method like I did on the champions. And it seemed to work. I was like, oh my god, it works. So if the Overload champion is all the way from the right side, being a stubborn Overload baby fallen, or let's just say a fallen, you can actually go from the left side, like in the beginning, and do DPS at the Overload champion. So at least we found out something together. Isn't that nice? Alright, so once we defeat the Overload champion, there's gonna be some shards. We're using the Seeker Wells, which they can follow you. And now we can actually capture the Arc Plate. And we are at 60%. This is gonna take a while. So more waves of ads spawn. You can just use your super. Actually, I would use your super since we do have tier intellect 10. So now I'm gonna be bowing the shank with Lemon Arc. So what you can do is you can actually just use Lemon Arc to break the shield, as you can see here, and then switch to your heavy. Of course, you need to be very careful since it can shoot at you if you are standing still. So you have to move around and then use your heavy weapon to do precision critical shots. So yeah, everything seems to be going well. And of course there are vandals hiding, trying to make my life very, very frustrating. And there are probably around 2 more. And you can see that it can be a bit frustration. So I was double jumping with the stasis, well, with the stompies, and my ghost is still upside down. Honestly, I don't even know what's going on with my ghost. My ghost is acting so weird. Alright, so we're gonna be dealing with another Overload champion, so I have to back away again and bait this Overload champion. So I was trying to bait it because I sensed the champion was going to push towards me, but then it backed away, unfortunately. So I was trying to figure out if I can go and take down the electrical shanks. And it seemed pretty safe, so I decided to push and then deal with the 2 solar shanks since the Overlord champion was not pushing towards me. So I'm gonna do a mini time skip for this. So I'm basically going to be using Lemonarch to deal with the shanks. Alright, so we got 1 heavy shank down. So now we're gonna do the next one, and it's gonna be extremely exciting. So I'm gonna use my super, might as well, and see if the tornado will do something. Oh no, the tornado just did not want to cooperate. At least it cleared down a couple of ads. And then it disappears, unfortunately. If only the tornado could last longer. I don't know about you guys, but for some reason the tornado seems to last longer in PvP than in PvE. Maybe it's just me, but I'm noticing something a bit different with this tornado. The only good thing about tornado is it starts to seek enemies more faster than before, but still I would prefer it to last a little longer. So now I am jumping because I sense a Overlord champion. So I thought, right, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go all the way from the left side like last time and deal with the Overlord champion. So you can see here we're in the same awkward spot like before. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go back over here. Nothing can go wrong, right? Nothing can go wrong. And he teleported. Bad idea. So I backed away. I said, not today, Overlord champion. I don't trust you. You're gonna teleport behind me and then 2-shot me. Not gonna happen. Not today. So be super careful with this Overlord champion, and like I said, don't trust him. I don't trust him and never trust him. If your fire team wants to go on his own, say, okay, I'll do it. Don't worry, I'm gonna stand over there. Well, then you must pray for him because he might get destroyed, especially if he doesn't have protective light. So once you trap the Overlord champion, you can start doing DPS. So I'm going to do a mini time skip for this one. So we're basically just going to be bowing away and bow and bow. Alright, so once we defeat the Overlord champion, we can capture the plate, and my ghost is still upside down to this day. Amazing. Thank you, Ghost. At least you're making this Nightfall fun. You're just fooling around and it is making everyone giggle. So what you can do here is collect all the heavy bricks as much as you can. Fortunately, we can't save any heavy. So, you know, this is not Mega Man where you can save, you know, you can get a tank and save health. Well, let's just say heavy. So we can't do that, right? So we had to leave them and abandon them, even though, you know, it makes me sad, but... So now we're gonna be dealing of collecting arc pulses. This is gonna be the last one, and this is gonna be very annoying to do, especially on Hunter. I was trying to figure out where are the pike fallen so they won't melt me with the arc. And like I said, highly recommend using the arc resistance, double arc resistance. I was hoping the guy was going to collect the arc pulses for me, but it looked like he didn't feel like it, so I was sad. So I had to collect them myself, even though it's extremely dangerous. So I just ran and tried to collect the arc pulses. And of course there are guardians, Mr. Boom, Skate or something. Then we got Hammer. I'm assuming Hammer is PC. And we got It's a Paradise. Finally, they're collecting arc pulses for me. Isn't that nice? Yay. Another good luck from Blueberries. And of course this Hammer guy's like, okay, we'll help you, Blitz. Don't worry about it. Just get your GM done. Thank you, Hammer. Such a nice guardian. You know, there should be emote, right? I don't remember. I think they have one where it asks people to help. I'm pretty sure they have the emote somewhere. I should be using that when going for Exodus Crash. So they collected the arc pulses for me and I can just resume to the walker. Isn't that nice of them? And of course there is some Blueberry. I think he's checking my stats or something, because it's just a bit bizarre that he would just stand there. Or he's probably just waiting for his sparrow. Now to deal with the walker, and of course I'll be doing a time skip of doing DPS, so I like to go up here since I think this is the safest for Hunter, and for Warlock it's just dealing with the Vex. Now be aware that there are snipers, sometimes there are snipers here, so make sure you take the sniper down, then of course the harmless Vex. The reason why I like going up here is to deal with the fallen and sniper from the bottom. So you can actually sneak up on them and throw your nade and then clear them down. Now, for some odd reason, because Bungie likes to be Bungie, the snipers are not there. Usually they're supposed to be right here, but I guess they didn't appear. It was just so bizarre. This never happened to me ever. And for some reason they just decide not to appear in my video. But it's okay. We'll just deal with the walker. So you're actually safe from this distance. You can actually go and do DPS or just spam your bow. You can also save your heavy if you don't want to use your heavy dealing with the walker. So I'm going to do a mini time skip for this because you can basically stand here and then do DPS at the walker. Alright, so after defeating the walker, I am gonna go and double check the snipers. I don't trust Bungie for the snipers. I feel like they could appear anytime, so I quickly had to go to the dark maze room, the pre-boss room. So this is gonna be fun since I can't use my Warlock super to skip it. And now, since we're on Hunter with no protective light and there are snipers, this is gonna be extremely fun. This is gonna be so much fun. As you guys know, there is the last Overload Champion. I was so lucky that the Overload Champion decided to teleport in front of me. Now, this normally doesn't happen. Usually the Overload Champion will be at the top left side. So just remember that if the Overload Champion is standing in front of you like this, it is extremely lucky, because this Overload Champion is very stubborn, extremely buggy, so be super careful. Alright, so I was just scouting and now we have to deal with the maze, and there are a lot of ads. As you can see here, I'm just trying to see where they are because I heard noises. And I don't want these guys to sneak up on me. That's the last thing you want. You're on this Nightfall, everything's good, and then you get destroyed by the sniper or something sneaks up to you before the boss fight, and that's gonna be not fun. So I was just being super careful because I don't want these Fallens to destroy me before the boss fight. Now that would be extremely sad, and I probably would just put the controller down and say, why did this happen to me? There is also a shortcut, but the problem is I'm not a Nightstalker, and yeah, we have stompies, but then there's snipers that can two-shot me, so I'm not really going to take the risk, and of course I backed away here because I was trying to see where are the snipers. So if you do push towards the platform, I would say middle way to the entrance of the boss room, these snipers will spawn. So just be super careful with the snipers, take cover, hear the surroundings. That's the best advice I can give you. Unless you're a Nightstalker, then you could just skip this and you completely can skip everything because it's not really important to me what to say in this video if you are a Nightstalker, because you could just turn invisible and then skip, or you can use the helmet, the assassin helmet, and you could just melee them and then turn invisible, or use your finisher and then be on your way to the boss fight. I was just trying to be super careful because there's gonna be snipers. As you can see here, there were fallen ads pushing towards me, and of course the snipers. So I'm trying to remember, there are two snipers like this. Now these gold bar snipers are extremely dangerous, so be super careful with them because they are not fun to deal with. Now I was just double checking and I saw a bomb, well, a mine, which I will destroy. And I was thinking to myself, there should be one more, but I cannot see him. That was my senses, Bungie senses or Guardian senses, that I was telling myself there should be one more, and I just don't trust this, this maze. So then there was another one, and then guess what? There's the last sniper. So I knew there were two gold bar snipers, and you can see that they are extremely dangerous. So if you're on red health, then just hide. You can see here, extremely dangerous, so be super careful with them. We finally defeated the sniper. I'm gonna collect that heavy since it does look nice, and I do need it for the boss fight, so I'm gonna go collect it and then be on my way at the boss fight. Yay, finally. It took a long time, but we're finally here, and like I said, I will do many time skip of dealing with the boss. Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to do the cheese spell with Stompy. So you're going to go up here on this top little edge, and then jump up here, and then you're going to go on the upper platform. So I was trying to jump here, and then I made it. Then I went to the pre-boss cheese spot, which it was, but not anymore, and then go up here. Now, as always, crouch down and hug the wall when going left and right of these edges of these platforms. If you don't, then your character will slip. Now, I didn't really have any problems with Hunter. For some reason, when I was on my Warlock, I kept slipping. But for Hunter, it just seems very hilarious that I didn't have any trouble at this cheese spot at all with Hunter. Had no problem, no sliding, no ankle breaking or slipping, which is very bizarre. It's like this platform likes Hunter more than Warlock when it's standing here. And the best thing is, if you do slip off, you could just use your double jump or one jump to get back on. Now I'm just being super careful. I'm trying to find the right spot so the boss won't touch me, and I'm going to be spamming my heavy because I definitely need the boss to not destroy me during the cheese spot. Since we have no healing rift, we have no barricades, so it's gonna be a problem for Hunter. Everything seems to be good, so now I'm gonna be destroying the overcharged shanks. Boss will spawn, and it will be either at the left side, or right side, or in the middle of the map. So you can actually do DPS from this angle. You can also, another thing I like to mention is do crouch down when the boss fight starts. It seems that the boss cannot hurt you when you crouch down for Hunter, so you could see that I am trying to do as much DPS as I can. And hopefully this boss will be destroyed. And now it teleports. So it's gonna teleport in the middle of the map, or it's gonna be at the left side again. So you can see that the boss is being very, very stubborn. And now definitely gonna throw a grenade, but it didn't really do anything, unfortunately. So now I am going to use as much heavy as I can. And then just manipulate the box breathing. So now finally it teleports, and guess what? Probably the easiest thing now, you can actually just clear down the ads. So now I am going to be clearing down the shank, so I'm going to do a time skip for this one since this is just me destroying it, even though I don't, but I need to for the super. Once you clear down the ads, now when ads will be behind you, will be under the platform where you're standing, so I'm trying to clear as much ads as I can see before I'm using my super. Now of course, if you are Nova Bomb Warlock, you could just use your Nova Bomb right now, but since we're not doing that, then I'm going to be using my super, and hopefully the tornado will clear as much ads as I want. Now like I said, I will do a mini time skip because I have to wait for my super again since the tornado was just being very stubborn and wasn't clearing as much ads as I want, even though you can see it is doing a pretty good job. I had to wait for my super again. So I did a time skip and I messed up my super because the tornado was floating in the middle of the map. I am not even joking. Like I said, tornado has a mind of his own, and the last fallen unfortunately move over here. So if you do have a fallen behind this, so if you have your secret grenade, you can throw it all the way from where the fallen is standing. So I throw my nade, and then there is the last fallen. So you can throw your nade and make this fallen move. So that is the last fallen, as you can see here. And now we're going to the second phase, and this is gonna be fun. So remember my last video, I said destroy the first barrier champion and then deal with the boss. So I totally forgot that if you defeat the first barrier champion and you don't do DPS at the boss, then you're gonna have an extra barrier champion. So you destroy this barrier champion and then you'll have 2 more. Instead of 1 more, it'll be 2 more. Yeah, it's a bit annoying, and I totally forgot about it. So because we're not on Warlock stasis, it can be a bit frustrating to try to skip a barrier champion. Of course you can get platinum for that. I decided to just take down this barrier champion. Even though I'm gonna get additional barrier champion, it doesn't really matter, especially at standing at this spot. Just be aware to crouch down when dealing with this barrier champion. Anyway, I'm gonna do a time skip. So once you defeat the barrier champion, you can actually just do DPS at the boss. So you can see, you can just do DPS at the boss, and of course it is running away. That's another reason why I wanted to, in the Warlock run, to just get rid of the boss. Just do DPS as much as you can because the boss will move around once the barrier champion is gone. And of course, you can see that this boss can be super awkward. So finally the boss was standing at the spot that I want him to stand, so you could just keep doing DPS until the barrier champion will appear. Well, 2 more since we destroyed the first barrier champion. Anyway, it's best to just stand still and then crash down. I wouldn't move so much because this boss seems to try his best to find an angle to hurt you, and you can see that the boss is completely harmless from this angle, or from this spot. So you could just keep using Monarch. Unfortunately, if I did have heavy, I would use it right now. So now there are 2 barrier champions, and like I said, it's really complicated to skip one for Hunter. I did not want to use my super. I was planning to use my super, but I did not want to stand up because this boss could destroy me, and I don't want that to happen, especially at this spot I'm standing. So 2 bear champions seem to not bother the boss, so I took advantage of it and just keep doing DPS at the boss until it disappears. Then we can deal with the barrier champions. So this is really fun. Finally the boss disappeared, and then you can just easily take down the barrier champions. So now I'm gonna do a mini time skip, and I'm only just doing the time skip of dealing with the barrier champions since it's gonna take probably 3 minutes of my life. Finally, we defeated the Overload, well, the Barrier Baby Servitor. Just joking. Barrier Servitor Champion, and now we're going to be dealing with this one. So I'm going to do another mini time skip since this is going to take a while of just using primary weapons. Alright, so after spending 2 minutes of my life and I can't get these elemental wells since the Seekers have a limited of where it can, you know, where it can find me. Now I'm going to be dealing with clearing ads so we can go to the next phase. So before that, if you see vandals, then completely try your best to destroy them. And of course I'm going to destroy as much vandals as I can and deal with the shanks, which I will do a mini time skip. Once I destroy the overcharged shanks, now this would be a good time to use my super. If only I had Nova Bomb. So clear as much vandals as you can of where you can see. And then you can actually, yes, I missed one, my bad. You can actually use your super. So I'm just trying to find a good angle because the worst thing you could do is use your super at your cheese spot, and that's not going to be fun. So hopefully the tornado will do its work, and of course you can make the tornado push enemies where you can see them and then take them down. Of course my tornado, for some reason it disappeared. I used my super, but it didn't seem to last long compared to the last time I used it, so that can be a bit annoying. So I'm gonna be waiting for my super and use it again, so time skip for that. I was waiting for my super, but then I noticed that if you shoot around the map, these vandals seem to react with it, which I didn't know. So I did that, and then for some reason this vandal was reacting, and then now we're at the next phase. So if you are waiting for your super, just shoot around the map and hopefully the vandal will react and then come out of its play hide and seek, and we can actually deal with the next phase. Now this is the phase where things can go your way or it cannot go your way. So now I am dealing with the overcharged shanks, and there's gonna be the boss where it can appear. And it's a good time to use your super, but first things first, I had to clear down all these overcharged shank. So now I'm just shooting around, waiting for my super. I was hoping that the boss would react to it, but it doesn't. And remember what I said, you have to jump? Well, later on I did do that, but it seems to work with the Warlock method, where you can have the turret from the opposite side and then jump. But for the hunter, it sometimes doesn't seem to work because you need something to bait the boss. So now I'm just waiting for my super. And another thing I'd like to mention is before using your super, always try to throw your nade, so you'll know where the boss is. Anyway, just to let you know, always be careful of where the boss is. And before using your super, throw a nade to know where the boss is. So if the grenade is not reacting, it's not freezing anything, that means the boss is in the opposite direction where you're standing, which you need to use your tornado, because the stasis tornado has a time limit, unfortunately. We want to use as much DPS to the boss as we can. So I'm going to do a mini time skip, since basically we're going to be waiting for a super again. So after waiting for my super, I'm going to be using it again. And remember, always throw your nade. So I think in this footage I made a mistake. You can see because I didn't throw my nade, the boss wasn't there. It was in the opposite direction. So here's the mistake that I did. So always throw your nade before using your super, so you'll know where the tornado, so you'll know where the boss is standing, and then you can do as much DPS as you can. So guess what? I actually had to do another time skip because I messed up my super. I decided to use my super again. So this is basically you waiting for your super and praying that the tornado will do some damage to the boss. And of course the boss moves. You can see sometimes the tornado doesn't cooperate. And the boss is going to be moving around. And this is why using Noble Bomb Warlock is more efficient. So I finally got my super, and I'm going to be using my super again. So you notice a pattern here. So I was thinking that the boss is going to move, and it did. So when you do use your tornado, the boss will move a bit, and of course it retreats. And I was trying to see if I can do as much DPS so it can teleport, but it didn't move away. I was like, no, come back. So now I have to wait for my super again. This is so fun. Why is the stasis super for hunters weak? So now I have my super again. I see the boss. I was jumping just to see where this boss is gonna be. And before I use my super, you know, always throw your nade or jump to see where the boss is. And it looked like the boss was definitely near that angle, and it was perfect. Finally a perfect DPS-ish. And it looked like the tornado was following the boss, but then it gave up. Like, seriously, why does a tornado do that? That is very, very annoying. So the boss wasn't there, it was on that side. So now I'm gonna be waiting for my super again. Isn't this fun? I got really tired of waiting for my super, so I decided to play hide and seek with the boss. So you can actually make the boss go back and forth with it, which is extremely boring to do, because you only have a second to do DPS at the boss, and then it'll go back and forth. I'm not even joking or over exaggerating. But you can also do this method if you are waiting for your super. It is extremely boring. especially if you don't have the strong grenades like for the Warlock. This is gonna be extremely dull. So because I was moving back and forth, the boss decides to go on this direction, and I was happy. I was like, yes, you know what, this is actually a good idea. The boss is there and I can use my super. So this was probably the best thing the boss has ever done. So you can actually wait for your super and then do DPS, because the boss will move around. It'll be a perfect time to use the Lemonade. So I decided to use my super, and this time I'm going to be very careful where I'm going to put my super. And finally the tornado is cooperating, so it detects the boss, and now I can actually do some DPS. So finally this boss was standing still and moving. Perfect. The tornado actually did something right this time. Do you see how annoying this boss is? And guess what? I'm gonna be waiting for my super again. So I decided to use my super very soon. I was just trying to debate which angle to use my super, and I think this is the safest spot to use the tornado because I don't see the boss from the left side, well, right side. And I saw the boss was getting damage, which was very good. And then of course the tornado disappears. Seriously, why does the tornado disappear so fast? It is ridiculous. Anyway, I got really impatient. I was like, I'm not gonna wait for my super anymore. Let's just play hide and seek. So what you can do here is you can go and just go back and forth and use the bow. And it's extremely dull and boring. If you do jump and use Lemonade, for some reason the poison doesn't seem to activate. So it could be a bit annoying. You can see here, I'm going to go back and forth, and I don't know why. For the hunter, for standing on this mini cheese spot, I never seem to have a problem slipping off. But I have problems with the Warlock. It doesn't make any sense, to be honest. It's so bizarre. So now I decided to see where the boss is. I'm just trying to see if I can find a good angle because I don't want to fall down. And I'm trying to see, can I get rid of this boss? And of course it's gonna move. So yeah, like I said, you can go back and forth to deal with the boss. And I was trying to make this boss, I was trying to DPS this boss, but it was like, nah, Blitz, over here. Get me, Blitz. And I'm like, no, I need to destroy you. Alright, so finally I found a good angle and we defeated the boss. So we also got the platinum, and Bungie has not made me stop walking, which I was happy. So thank you so much for watching. And yeah, all I can say is the stasis tornado hunter, I wish it was more stronger. And that's it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.